What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the WhoFlung Gaming Podcast, where we got a special guest tonight. It's going to be the head of the BCSO in New Night RP. Say what's up to Kota. What's up, dude?
What's up, man?
So, the first thing that's like popping in my head, right, is what is it like to run a department in an RP server?
To run a department in an RP server, man, it can be a headache, especially how fast the BCSO grows.
Right.
And just the continue day-to-day operations that me and the undersheriff do behind the Discord stuff. We're
right.
constantly calling each other just on IRL phones. Just
is there a lot that goes on behind the scenes that, like, maybe the average player that say maybe only makes it to like deputy or senior deputy or maybe even sergeant doesn't even know? Do you think?
Oh yeah, yes, there is a lot.
I mean, because I only get glimpses of it, right? So before I went into LCSO, I think I made it up to the rank of captain, maybe. I think, and I don't necessarily think that I did that much, if anything at all. Let's be real about it. let's just be brutally honest. I don't think I did much of anything. But you know, I look at somebody like I'll hit on Cooker, for example, right? Cooker, I think, started out watching my streams like probably at least a server or two ago, and sort of followed me here, and then he's gone way up through the ranks in New Night.
Oh yeah.
I don't know exactly what he does for. I think he's the head of y'all's like human resources or something now.
So Cooker has really stepped up. He worked his way up from deputy all the way to where he's at now. Basically, like Cooker commander? He's like our guy who we need someone to go throw the hammer at him, basically.
He's like the disciplinarian almost.
Yes. Okay.
I mean, because I see him popping around, like he's gone all the way up through BCSO. He's gone up through what is it, staff now? Yeah. Like I see, isn't Jordo a staff guy as well now?
Yes, he was brought on last month on the trial.
Hell yeah.
Still does really good.
I mean, just watching these guys, they all have used to be like sending DMs to me in game, and now I'm like seeing him do this, that, and the other is just freaking awesome. But you know, I was really curious as to what it takes to run a department. Now, do you feel, or not necessarily did you feel, but when you're doing stuff like behind the scenes that the average Joe doesn't see about, are you doing it as much for RP purposes for your own sake? Like, you know, when you're doing rosters and subdivisions and things like that, or do you feel like that is something that's necessary for the average Joe to experience their RP, and you're not doing it for RP sakes, you're doing it to ensure other people within your department get RP out of it?
So we're doing it to ensure other people are getting RP out of it, and just getting more things lined out, maybe to compete with maybe those other departments that don't have the subdivisions,
right?
Due to where the jurisdictions are lined up at, to where we can have those subdivisions the way our jurisdictions lined out.
How many do y'all have now?
Influence a Marine unit, for example.
Have y'all started doing that now?
Me and
or is it in the works?
Sheriff Kota have getting it put together.
What do you see for that? Like patrolling the lake around Sandy, maybe doing like the coastal up area around like Polito, stuff like that, or?
Yes, basically.
Okay, man, that's the idea.
We're gonna do it to where if they want to go activate as a boat unit, there needs to be at least one boat unit active in the water, and also a truck that says Marine unit also on patrol.
Okay.
In the areas too, that way they can respond on the shoreline.
So are they going to be able to haul their boat around behind them in the truck, or is this just how they have to set up before they spawn the boat in the water?
We haven't really quite decided that yet.
Because I mean, granted, I imagine it would be kind of tough to get like a truck with a boat on it and be able to deploy the boat off the truck kind of deal. But if that could be figured out, I think that would be pretty freaking dope.
It can be figured out. It's just the way that attaching script works and how fast you can get the boat in the water. It's
right.
A pain in the butt, but
I guess it'd be a lot of testing behind the scenes before that was implemented. Do y'all have a test server that you implement these things on and try them out, or do you just do it in sort of like the after hours when there's 2 or 3 people on in 2 in the morning?
So I do have access to a dev server I can test things out on, but we try to do it in a normal server just to see how it runs. Right,
because you never can guarantee you get it to work right in one. It might not, for whatever weird reason, transfer over.
Exactly.
I think an example of that, and not to hit on a potentially sore spot there, but was the attempted implementation of the new Canine script. If I'm wrong, so you can correct me, because this is what I heard about why it's not at least functioning yet, or maybe at all, is that it was having issues when the server was at a high pop level. If you know about it,
something wasn't configured right, and so we don't really know if the configuration can be configured to a way our server loads it to load the script.
Right. Because this is all stuff that I know like jack shit about. I know nothing about like server dev. My I guess naive point of view of it would be, is it like trying to get LSPDFR to work but on a grander scale, or is it very different from that?
Yeah, it's probably like that. I didn't do much of that stuff whenever I was helping them. I mostly did some light fixing. I make the EUP menu after Mason does all the EUP in the server. I make the whole menus for every department and stuff like that.
Okay, because my limited access is I think because LSPDFR definitely came before 5M. I know that for sure. So my limited access was back in the day trying to get LSPDFR to work properly and stuff like that. And then once 5M came out and became a thing, I was like, done. Let's let somebody else do that. I'm going to go down the 5M route, 5PD route, and just let somebody else handle the hard stuff.
That's basically what everyone does.
Were you a part of it when they were deciding whether to go economy versus 5PD server when New Night was becoming a thing?
When New Night first came a thing, how it started is, if you want the rundown on how New Night came along.
Would love it.
I actually was in an old server. I met Mason just by patrolling.
Right.
I introduced Mason into all my friend group over there in another server and kind of poached him into our department and gave him some rank and everything like that. And after that, we were just kind of getting fed up with the other server wasn't letting us basically run our department the way we wanted to. And so we said, you know what? F this. Let's go start our own thing. Something better than this server. Something better that everyone will come enjoy.
Right.
And so when we did that, we decided we'll do 5PD.
Was your other server economy based?
No, it was not.
It was a 5PD server?
Yep.
Okay. And then y'all just said basically F this, and you wanted something that was done your way from the ground up, and that's in a sense how New Night eventually became to be what it is.
Yes.
Okay. Were you around when I first came in the server? Was that you that I interacted with on that first night?
It was. I was there.
Okay. Because I can't remember. I told this story I want to say a podcast ago or so about how I came into New Night, and I was in another server that shall remain nameless because I don't advertise other servers when I do 99% of my stuff in New Night. But I was in another server looking for a new home, and I just teleported into, flew in, as they say in RP terms, into New Night, and I was like, all right, let's check this out. It's got a decent, population. I think it was 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and it was still rocking 40 plus people.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, you know, because I just looked on 5M. I just opened up the 5M menu, typed in 5PD, and ranked them in population from, you know, highest to lowest. And I wasn't looking for anything that's like 100 plus people. I was like, that's too chaotic. I want something in, you know, the 50, 60, 70 range. That's excuse me, hiccups there. That's just enough to control. So I flew into New Night, and I don't know who it was that I interacted with first, but I was having an issue with something, and somebody that I think was either a sergeant or a lieutenant or something in the department. I mean, this is what, probably 6+ months ago now at this point, almost a year maybe. You know, said, hey, meet me at this location, I'll walk you through it. And then I was like, all right, this dude is, you know, unnaturally welcoming. And then I think he might have called you over the radio, because somebody at some point recognized my voice.
Yep.
And I don't know quite how, and then all of a sudden it was just boom, everybody was there, and we were just having a, you know, a rock solid time. And I was like, all right, cool, bet I can do this. And it was actually, what really won me was the initial, and I don't know if they're still the same, you can correct me, was like the brownish yellowish liveries for the BCSO. Is it still that, or is it different now?
Yeah, we still have them, I believe.
Because that was on New Night, like, I guess 1.0. I don't know what to call it, like the original New Night.
We still have those liveries.
So that was the livery, because I used to be a fan of the BCSO liveries. I don't know if you've played on a server that had them, that was the like the blue and black BCSO liveries, and I thought those were boss, and I rocked those like servers for years. And New Night was the first one that was totally away from that. It was the brown yellow livery, and I was like, man, this is actually really fucking cool. Is it modeled after something, or is it just a BCSO? Because, you know, you'll find like certain liveries that are like loosely based off of something.
We just got him from Minty's productions. He does great liveries, and once we find the car pack, we just make sure whatever liveries we want is match, and that's what we did. And that's what I wanted, and match found the EP to go with it, and just matched it all together. And
how long did it take y'all to, when you decided that, you know, you want to do New Night RP? Even probably before, I imagine, you came up with a name from it. How long did it take y'all from like that decision to basically launching it?
We opened the Discord. We got everyone to meet together that we wanted to bring over, basically from the old server.
Right.
And we were staying at 24 hours of the night, working, talking, discussing. And Mason has said, hey, I used to have a server called New Night. And so we said, fuck it. I mean, let's just do that. I mean, we'll go with that. And then Spawn Point used to be at the old state giant headquarters news department.
Yeah.
That's where Spawn used to be.
A lot of servers use that.
So it's going a long ways. I mean, my EUP's come a long ways. Cars have come a long ways. We used to
Facts.
have green liveries, green uniforms, a whole bunch of stuff.
Right. But from the formation of the idea to New Night's open to the public, how long do you think that took y'all?
Probably 2 weeks.
Really? I was honestly, I was expecting you to say much longer than that. I was expecting you to say like 2 or 3 months.
It took about 2 weeks, maybe 3 the most.
Did it open in a beta format, and y'all said, hey, we're open to the public, but it's beta, let us, you know, be aware that we're going to be changing a lot of things, tweaking things, there'll still be bugs? Or did y'all try and hammer most of that out before you opened it?
So what we did was invited our close friends that we knew we could trust, that said, you know, we weren't poaching, and
right.
We brought all them over to basically be all of our really kind of test dummies on everything.
Right.
And once we knocked out the kinks of all that, once we got all the admin permissions done, we started letting people come over, and then started slowly being able, what can these guys be restricted to? How do we restrict this and this and this? And once we got all that done, then it was game on, and that's when we could start rolling in the people.
I get you. How did y'all I guess, go public and start getting people to play on the server?
So when we opened the Discord up, we actually had 100 members in like less than a month.
Right.
And then we every admin boosted the server on 5Ms and had it to 100 boost.
So do you find you get a lot more traffic by boosting the Discord, or just by random people searching it?
You want to boost it on 5M. When you boost them on 5M, that's how you get to the top of the list. Is like where we're at right now.
I got you. So you're actually talking about boosting the 5M server, not boosting the Discord.
Yes.
Okay. So is that like, does it function essentially the same way that boosting a Discord server does?
The thing for Discord, a boost on Discord, basically all you get is you can upload your own wallpapers and emojis is what you get. You get more access to things through Discord.
So it has nothing, in terms of making your Discord more discoverable.
It just looks good for the Discord members, basically.
I get you. So then maybe a better analogy, or not analogy maybe, but a better like way of describing it to somebody like me that doesn't, get it. I'll take a stab at it. Is equate to like, say, I'll lean on a content creating thing. When you like hit like the paid promotion or advertisement of, say, your Instagram video or something like that, you're paying to have your server put at the top of the list or higher up the list.
Yes.
So that's basically what it's like for somebody like me to understand it.
Yep.
Okay, fair enough. Were y'all ever on what was it, GTA police mods that went defunct?
I don't think so.
Because that's how I found some of my original 5PD servers was through that. I went on there and I searched 5PD servers before I knew it, and this is years back before I knew that, searching on 5M itself was, obviously a much easier way to find 5PD servers. So I just wondered if y'all ever like advertised on there. But I want to say that's how I originally started doing 5PD, and then I went and discovered it was much easier to just do it through 5M. Hey Bubba, Fluffy says hello to everybody. He's now muzzle punching me like it's going out of style. He's like, Dad, I'm here, pay attention to me, you're talking on that weird microphone thing again. So New Night just hit its anniversary, what, like last week?
Yes.
Is that 1 year from when y'all took it public and said, hey, here we are, come play on our server?
Yep.
Okay. What has the growth rate been like? So you went from 100, what are we at now on the Discord, like north of 5,000?
Yep. We are 5,233.
Damn. That is something. So at what point did you see, if there is a point that you can pinpoint, not to say point like 10 times in one sentence, but is there a point that you can like say, all right, that's where we sort of had like a meteoric jump in popularity, or has it been a slow grind throughout the year that it's been public?
We had our moments. A lot of moments where it would be dead, and then all of a sudden a week later we gained 50 a day, and some days it was just short. Right.
So it was like you would boost up a couple hundred, then you might plateau for a week, and then you'd boost up another couple hundred, then you might plateau for a week or two. Is that more of like a way you would describe the growth?
Yes.
Okay. Because I can relate to that from, like, say, my Twitch side of things. I'd be at a couple hundred, and then I'd plateau at that for like a month or two, and then I'd go to like 2 or 1,000, and then I'd plateau at that for a month, and now I've been at, I want to say 9,100 for the better part of like 2 months, maybe. And so if you're listening to this, go follow me on Twitch, damn it. I want to get to 10,000, and when we get there, we're giving away a Nintendo Switch live on stream. But so I'm trying to, like, everything that you say, I'm trying to relate it to stuff that I understand, because I know jack shit about what it takes to dev a server, run a department in the server, any of that kind of stuff. I just get to reap all the hard work that y'all put in. and get to enjoy it and stream it to the world. Because I'll tell you, one moment that sticks out for me is I don't know if you guys ever figured it out, whatever that bug was that, you know, caused server 1 to have all those connectivity issues for people. But the time it took y'all to get from server 1 to server 2, I don't know if y'all had 2.0 in the works already, but I think it was like 3-4 days for y'all to go from that to what it is now. And it was just night and day improvement, just boom. And the speed that y'all got that out was impressive. So did y'all have that in the works before that happened, or was it just boom, ground up, let's spend the next 72 hours?
That had a couple long weeks in the works.
Okay, so it was something that was slowly being planned, and then this just kind of forced your hand, I'm guessing.
Yep, that's exactly how it went.
Do you think it was a bad resource that caused that connectivity issue, or you have no clue?
No clue really.
Because it was, I think, what, 5M had an update, and then just all of a sudden, like, half the server pop couldn't connect to it. There were some people that were untouched, and you know, then there's, you know, like me, I was left, you know, with I was essentially serverless there for 3 or 4 days, you know, struggling to find something to do, bored to tears, and then I'm jumping in your office and I'm hearing Black and Origin going like borderline 24/7, you know, doing lights and cars, and you'd pop in with ideas here and there, and Mason would jump in, and I'm listening to this. I'm like, I don't know if people understand exactly the crunch time that went in from 1.0 to 2.0 and what it took to get that out on the street. It was long hours for you guys.
They all did a lot.
Do you feel like there was a growth hit to the server during that point? Like, do you think you just went stagnant, or do you think you lost people during that like 3 or 4 day window?
I think we went stagnant. I don't think anyone left
because they could sort of tell. You think the effort that was being put in behind? Because I definitely could. I definitely could. By, I guess, because I had the access to your office, I hop in there and I could listen to these guys doing this. I'm like, all right, they're definitely working on something. I'm not worried. It might take them a week, 2 at most, and we'll be back to operational status. But I don't know if the other people really understood that, or, you know, comprehended, and they're just like, whatever, 2.0 came out, let's keep going. He's definitely been very attentive during this episode for sure. He's right up here for those that are watching the video variant. They can see Fluffy is absolutely a part of this. His head's on my desk. He's nudging me. He's like, Dad, pay attention. So do you mind saying a little bit about what you do IRL? Because people know what I do IRL. And we don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. You know, if you want to keep the private life private, but...
No, I can tell.
Okay.
I can tell.
So hit us with it.
I just accepted a full-time position with my sheriff's office, actually.
Okay.
So I'm getting ready to go back to FTO doing stuff with that.
Okay.
But I still work in the jail. I still cover dispatch shifts and everything like that.
Does your sheriff's office require you guys to do X number of years in the jail before you can go to patrol?
Yes, you have to do at least a year in the jail, and then like 5 months in dispatch to learn 10 codes, and then you may apply for reserve as well, and then you can go full time. I get you.
So are you still within your year in the jail, or are you past that?
I'm past that.
Okay.
I've done my time in jail and dispatch.
Okay, so you're just going through the motions at this point, I guess, until you hit the street.
Yep.
I feel you on that one. Our local sheriff's office requires a minimum of 3 years in the jail. Yeah, it's rough. That's why I'm like, nah, I'm good, dude. I'm not working in the jail. You know, because I went through the recruitment process for our local sheriff's office, and they had a bunch of sergeants that worked in the recruiting wing, and they're like, yeah, you know, you come work here, and after 3 years we'll get you out on the street and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I know guys personally know guys that are on year like 5, 6, 7 still in the jail, you know, wanting to get out, and they haven't gotten out yet. I'm like, I don't know if I want to spend half of my career in a jail. You know, so I elected to, you know, pass that up, and I was doing voluntary work for the largest municipality in our county. And then it just became a budget crunching thing, and I ended up going into the working dog world, and that's been a total different path in life, and how I ended up with Fluffy. He was my first dog ever, dude. I'd never had a pet, never had, you know, we had a cat growing up, and I think he's 13 now, and I met him when he was 10 months old, so I was roughly like 21, 22. Paid my own way through the Police Canine Academy in North Carolina, because I live here in Alabama. I don't know, you can tell me if it's the same in your state, but Alabama does not allow private citizens to pay their own way through an academy, whether it's canine, you know, regular Leo Academy, nothing like that. You have to be sponsored by a municipality here. And I would argue that 99.9% of municipalities in in Alabama are less than 100 officers. Excuse me. Probably more than that, or less than 100. I mean, most of them are probably 50 or less sworn, because they're real small. Birmingham's by far the largest city in the state. You know, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Huntsville are your large municipalities. Those guys are going to have a couple hundred maybe, but everybody else, I think there are sheriff's offices here that have less than 100, you know, and that's including jail staff. You know, it's probably 100 maybe from like sheriff on down. And, you know, then you've got Jefferson County. That's, I think Birmingham City is supposed to have 1,000 sworn. And they're so short staffed right now. I think they're under 400. They are that short. Are y'all feeling the same crunch, or are y'all holding?
I work in a small county. I worked in a county that has 520 square miles of patrol.
Okay.
And we have 2 towns in our county that have their own municipalities. One of the departments works 12-hour shifts.
Okay.
The other agency up north works 10s.
Okay.
And we, our sheriff's office, work 8s or 10s. We have right now 5 full-time deputies, and we have some reserves that come out a lot. And then the city
you have
has
5 deputies?
7 officers. Yep.
5 deputies for 500 square miles.
Yeah.
Whew. Wow.
And then we have the city I work in, where the county is kind of central located at. They have 7 officers, and they work a 12-hour shift, 7 to 7, 7 to 7.
Right.
And they have a mid shift, which is 1 to 1. And then.
So is your county just not a high populated county?
It's high populated.
You got 5 deputies. That is mind blowing. You've got 5 full-time deputies for 500 plus square miles.
Yep.
That is incredible.
We also have reserves that can come out anytime they want and also patrol areas. So
are they doing that on basically a volunteer basis?
They can, and then also some of the reserves get scheduled, and when they get scheduled, they do get paid.
Okay, so they'll do like an 8 or 10 hour shift, and they're getting paid for that.
Yeah. Some nights we have a full-time deputy out that is working 7 to 3, and also a part-time guy out 4 to midnight.
Okay. Man, that is still mind-blowing. I mean, that's me talking about we're supposed to have 1,000 sworn in the city, and we're at sub 400, and you're like, yeah, we got 5. I'm like, wow.
I think we also have our 2 administrators, admin.
I think we were both purely talking sworn at that point. Yeah, so the city of Birmingham is supposed to have 1,000 sworn, and I think they're at sub 400. The sheriff's office, which is Jefferson County, is supposed to have 600, I think. And I think they're at sub 300 right now. You know, this is what I'm saying is probably about maybe 6 months old. So I don't know if the numbers have fluctuated at all. But both of them, our city and our county, run their own academies. Other than that, the only people that run their own academies in the state are the troopers, my county, and the city. Everybody else there's like 4 regional academies: northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest. The only one of the county, city, or troopers that will accept outsiders is the troopers. The troopers will take outside candidates through their academy. The local city here and the local county here are private in-house. They don't do outsiders, I guess. I don't know quite how to, politically correctly word that. I would just say outsiders, or, non their department. But the city does what is it? It is a 20-week academy, whereas the regular A-post certification is 12 weeks. And they tack on an extra 2 months. They do a whole month on domestic violence, and they do a whole month on traffic stops. And I was like, wow, that is a workload. So you'll do your regular 12-week academy. You'll pass it, because that's what the A-post certification requires. And then in order to graduate from the city academy, you have to do the other 8 weeks on top of that before they'll put you out on the street. Are y'all 12 weeks or are y'all longer?
12 weeks. So basically you go, for our academies in Oklahoma, you go to a place down south, and you do legal block online, and then you do you go down there and do legal block in classroom, and then you're doing practicals, and then you're going to be doing DT,
right?
And then you go to firearms, and then you go to driving, and then you graduate.
Okay. I can tell the listeners I drive much better in real life than I do in the game. Trust me. Much
Same.
Better. I drive, it's the mouse and keyboard. I promise you, that's what causes me to drive bad. I mean, I remember, I think it was you and, I don't know if it was who the undersheriff was at the time. But y'all actually had a conversation with, like, dude, you drive like shit. Yeah. I'm like, trust me, it's not intentional. It's a combination of the mouse and keyboard, and you always are overcorrecting yourself going left and right. And then it's a combination of looking at chat while I'm streaming. I almost always wreck out when I look at chat. It is bad. There was a string there where I think I went through out of my windshield at least once a stream because I was reading chat and I would hit something. And it was bad. My first or second patrol with LCSO, I went over a ramp on the side of a highway that I didn't even know was there. Like, somebody said something in chat, I turn and look at it, I'm reading, next thing I know, because I knew we were going to go over this small hill, I didn't realize it was going to send me to the freaking moon. And then so I go and I'm like, holy cow. And then the next thing I know, the deputy behind me because I think we were responding hot to a call, he comes flying over my roof and plows into a sign because he didn't know that we were going that high either. And Goose and I think Magnus or something are like, guys, come talk to us for a second. And we're like, we swear we didn't know that was going to happen. On camera, it looks bad. It looks like, oh my God, and you yeet us to the moon. I'm like, trust me, we did not know we were going to do, at least I didn't. I can't speak for the other guy. He might have yeeted himself to ET's home planet just for the hell of it. But it is almost always the stream's fault. I'm blaming them. You've heard it here first. Not me. It's them. Or the mouse and keyboard. Do you notice a difference when you pick up a controller?
Oh yeah, I use nothing but controller.
Oh, you're strictly controller.
Strictly, if I drove keyboard and mouse, I would not be able to keep my car straight. I was drunk every day.
Do you play the whole game with a controller?
Yep, all my keybinds I need are mapped to my controller. My radio keybind, everything.
No shit.
Yep.
Yeah, I've not got any of that. So, what do you play with?
What do you mean by that?
Like Xbox, PlayStation.
I play with the Xbox controller.
Do you have extra buttons? Because I've got a Series X controller sitting here next to me. It doesn't have nearly enough buttons. what I would consider enough buttons.
Yeah. So basically, I don't. I just have a normal Xbox One controller, and I keybind all my 5PD stuff's keybind into my controller. My radio keybind, talk over the radio's keybinded, the lights, siren, everything.
So like, give me a rough breakdown,
basically.
like, because I'm gonna. Where's my Xbox controller? All right, I'm gonna hold my my Xbox controller in my hands. Give me an idea of roughly what does what.
So my right top trigger, that's how I stop a 5PD car.
Okay.
Obviously the normal button to drive, things like that. Shoot.
Yeah.
My X button is mapped out for when you talk over the radio.
Okay, so that's your push to talk.
Yep. That's how I talk over the radio. And then get in, get out, normal things, and
right.
The lights are on the little pad.
The D-pad, yeah.
B. My takedowns for my lights are I click the right on the little pad and A at the same time. It will light up my whole bring up my takedowns.
So you use combos. You use combos, like this direction plus this button does certain things.
Yep.
Man, that's... I'm going to spend like a Saturday afternoon when I'm not streaming to see if I can do even remotely half of what you're describing. Because I feel like if I don't have a keyboard in front of me, I'm sunk.
But I have a keyboard right in front of me, to do all my typing, my keybinds,
of course.
That's how I run radar. So.
But your basic functions, you could play 5PD an entire shift without touching your keyboard if you didn't have to type.
Yes, I could.
Is your radio push talk and I guess your regular push talk, that's all on your controller?
Nope, my push to talking game is in like normal.
So that is on your keyboard.
Yep.
Okay. That is just wild. So what are you holding, like your like controller in your hand and you're hitting like with your pinky finger, like hitting N while you're running or something?
Yeah, I basically what I do before I mapped out my radio to my controller. I mean, I can really multitask pretty well, and I just do everything and just hold like 1080s. I just hold caps lock or whatever I needed to hit.
Right. Do you find real life Leo experiences have benefited you in game, or vice versa?
I do. I actually do. I think.
Which one do you think has more of an influence on the other? Do you think you definitely bringing your real life experiences to the game?
I bring my real life experiences to my reports. Is really what I do.
Yeah, because I would argue that you are probably one of the quickest report/citation writers on the server by far. By far, and I know I'm not the only person that's ever said that to you.
You're not.
I'm pretty quick at it. I'm pretty quick because I will generalize a fair chunk of it, but I feel like I'm cheating when I do that. I mean, because obviously in real life I wouldn't do something like that. But in game, for certainly for stream's sake, I streamline a lot of it. But are you writing out like 95% of what you're actually putting, like you're filling in the right boxes, doing X, Y, and Z?
Yes, I do.
Okay. You're just, I guess, typing fast? Or
typing fast and just basically, I mean, I've trained everyone in the Sonoran CAD.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
When you have CAD open, where do you put it? Do you just leave it smack up in the middle, or do you move it off to like a side or a corner or something?
For what?
When in game, like when it's the Civ CAD.
Civ CAD?
Because when, like, if I'm Leo, for example, and I have to pull the CAD open and talk to us, like deal with a Civ, I have it in like the bottom left hand corner because you can call it an old habit dying hard. I still in game will keep my eyes on the Civ when I'm writing something because I never know. I'll put it in the corner. I'm like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm because I stream on, now Twitch, Kick, and TikTok at the same time. The TikTokers are the only ones that, get hit by this because I'm now moving it out of their view. They can't see it anymore. But I'm like, guys, sorry, it's an old habit that dies hard. I want to see what that Civ's doing. I don't trust them not to, you know, run or get out of the car or whatever it may be. I can't not keep my eyes on them.
That is how I do.
Yeah, I would definitely say that I'm similar to you in that from the dog side of things, I bring all of that into the server when I Leo. Which granted has not been much recently. I've been very heavy as a Civ recently, and I feel like that is because I feel like we're staffed decently well as Leo. And I know you've been doing Civ apps recently, but I feel like we're staffed decently well as Leo. I almost feel obligated in a sense to, because I have the Civ roles, to give those guys scenes that aren't just AIs. Yes. You know, and so that's why I've found myself a lot of the time on the Civ side, and I don't Leo as much, because I'm like, these guys, I want to make sure that they're having a fun time on the server. So, you know, it's sort of a win-win for me in that my viewers get fun out of me being a Civ, but I'm also concerned about the other Leos getting, you know, activity. So I've spent a lot of time on it, and I'm excited at the Civ apps, and I know it takes a long time, and people, I will echo what was said in the server, stop pinging the poor guy about Civ apps. He'll get to him. But how many of y'all are looking at taking on, or do you not have a set number in mind?
We hired 20 yesterday. We're gonna hire probably another 30 more later this in the morning time when I can get with the other director.
Sure. So say you're hiring what, 50, right? Mm-hmm. How many of those do you think will stick around and actually be Civs on the server?
It depends on how well they can RP. I mean,
so will some of them get washed out in training?
Yes, some will wash out.
Okay, fair enough. Because I mean, I think I was a part of the last hired Civ batch before what y'all are doing now. I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I was. And I don't know that I see many of them still around. You know, there's about maybe 5, 6, 7 of us that are, and then there's obviously the staff, you know, drop in and out. And I don't know if that's because I'm not on 24/7 and I don't see people on at different times, or if, say, we got a bunch of 50 that were hired and we whittled down to 10, you know, through attrition of, you know, strikes, or just not making it through training, or going elsewhere to play, because I'm sure those are all factors. But do you think that would be like a realistic estimate? If you hire 50, you'll probably end up with 10 that are active Civs?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay, that's fair enough. So then you'd pair that with the hopefully 10 of us that are still active, and you start getting a decent group. Why did y'all whitelist Civs?
We whitelisted Civs to basically, you know, you join those servers to where they just are running wild and free.
It's not GTA Online.
We wanted to set its own department, own SOPs, own rules. You're not gonna run around being a fucking freaking know-it-all and just run around killing everyone you walk up to.
Right. So it was like safeguarding the RP, doing your best, because that's how I described it. Again, I think it was on a stream, I want to say, or something. Somebody asked me, why is Civ whitelisted on Noon Night? And I said, because it's a public server. And because it's a public server, you can't have every, you know, Tom, Dick, and Harry joining the server, dressing out in some outfit and just running amok. You've got to some way control that. Otherwise, you would end up with 50 of a population cap of 60 on the server. You'd end up with 55 wild Civs and 5 Leo just running balls to the wall everywhere.
Exactly.
So I would definitely, the way I explained it to them, it was whitelisting, you know, is a way to attempt to safeguard the integrity of scenes from Civs, and also to maintain a balance in the server, you know, a healthy balance between Civ and Leo, so that not everybody is just running around as a criminal.
That's exactly what you want.
So I think from that standpoint, y'all do a very good job of that. You know, it's it's a never-ending, you know, balancing act, because I think, you know, obviously you're hiring on what you said upwards of 50 plus civs. That will take time, and if you're listening to this and you play on the server and you're wondering about that, guys, training and all that, it takes time. It's, you know, these guys do it voluntarily. It takes time. They will notify you and all that kind of stuff, and you go through your civ training and get your write-offs done. But man, it's fun once you get cut loose because of the effort that's put into guarding the integrity of it. I would say civ is a lot of fun. You know, sometimes it gets out of hand, and, you know, not everything that you see us do, think that you're going to jump in the server and get done. And I will definitely speak from a standpoint, just because, you know, me and Origin are the streamers on the server, or the main streamers, I would say. I don't want to toot our horn too bad, but somebody like Kota, who's the civ director, for example, is not afraid to say, hey, knock that shit off. You know, pardon my French, but it takes a lot to do that. And it takes a lot to be like, all right, step back and say, all right, yeah, I was definitely too wild on that. And what was that the other day? It was me and, was it me and Theo? It was me and Theo. And man, I don't know what happened that night, but like mentally something just went off. And what was I running in a monster truck or something? What was that from your side from your standpoint? Not that, you know, for everybody listening, I'm not contesting what happened. I fully admit I personally got way out of line in what I was doing, for sure. But I just can't remember exactly what it was that night. Was it
monster trucks were ramping mountains, and
that's what it was. That's what it was. Yes, it was monster trucks over the mountains, 100%. You know, initially I thought it was, and it may have been a part of, they kept forgetting to lock the cell door when they were booking me into Sandy. And I ran out of that cell door probably 5+ times because they never locked it. They never, you know, did a /GME or a /me or something that says locked door. So as soon as they took the handcuffs off, boom, I'm out the door again. And I did that to them at least 5 times. And I
actually get locked now.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think it was when you took me to jail a day or two ago. Was it yesterday that you took me to jail for that scene with Eddie, or was it like it was certainly within the last like 2 or 3 days, for sure. And I walked in and I saw the lock emblems on the jail doors. I was like, I wonder if that's from me busting out of the jail doors all the time. Or if it's just civs in general busting out of the jail doors. Can civs open those doors at all? Without telling me how, can civs open those doors?
No.
Okay. So how would you advise if a civ wants to do a jailbreak scene? They can't really do that anymore, can they?
Not really, no.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, because I definitely remember the moment in my stream I was like, guys, I bet those locks are on the doors, because I think me and Charles kept running out of the jail cell screaming freedom at the top of our lungs. And I never went far. Like, I was, you know, I would just run laps of Sandy Petey until they tased me or something. You know, I wasn't taking them on wild goose chases and stealing cars and running away. I was like, oh, I'm out in the parking lot, and all right, drag me back in again. You know, that sort of thing. But I thought in my head, I'm like, I bet they locked those doors because of me, for sure.
Oh yeah, probably so. It's just people just escaping.
Yeah, pulling Houdini X. For sure.
I sadly got to go back to work.
Oh, bummer sauce. Well, dude, it has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming on. Hopefully you do it again sometime. Hopefully I can get a group of us on. Hopefully I can get a group of us on and we can all do like a big, like you, me, Origin, and whoever else, and we'll do a big old, you know, fireside chat, as they call it. So,
that would work for me.
Yeah, I would love it. I would love that kind of stuff. So anyways, I appreciate it, dude. Thank you very much. Hopefully I see you in server sometime soon.
Sounds good.